Greetings again, everybody. Welcome back to Dark Souls. And today I decided to switch it up a bit and become a gooey pile of something pretty gross. Well, just kidding, it's just the chameleon spell. It transforms you into a different background object depending on the area. I'm also donning a crossbow. And I'm gonna buy some bolts here, but I'm not gonna show it to you because that would be boring. Anyway, let's just go right ahead and open the door to Blighttown. We've been carrying around the key to Blighttown for a while now, and it's finally time to go down to this infamous area a lot of people really hate. And some of the reasons it is a hated area, you will see with the naked eye. Others I'll have to explain. One of the reasons, but by far not the most prominent cited reason of hate for this area, is the serious ramp up in difficulty, as the welcoming commentary to this area proves, even though I'm kind of cheesing it right now with my crossbow. Those enemies, they aren't too difficult, but if it's your first time playing, you don't know that. You'll just see big guys and be scared shitless. And there's 3 of them right here, even though it's pretty easy to pull them out one by one, which you should do, really. Those fellas here also have an attack. That's attack in air quotes, by a generous definition of the word attack, where they just stand there and yell a lot. Here, this is him doing it. It just allows you to get in a few free hits. But anyway, another reason this area is hated is the terrain. It's not as bad here, but even here it's pretty easy to just fall off, so you should always mind your step and be aware of your surroundings, even more so than in other areas. I went ahead and enchanted my weapon here. You can see I'm doing a lot more damage now, and that's basically what magic weapon does. You will have to equip the catalyst in your left hand though, otherwise you won't be able to enchant your weapon, which is usually held in the right hand. But even if you use the catalyst in the right hand and have a weapon in the left hand, you won't be able to enchant that. So yeah, you can only enchant the weapon in your right hand. And those enemies here have a nasty grab. If you see them just with their open arms yelling, you might want to get away, because otherwise they'll just chew on your head until it's off, and that's not ideal. Those over there are another reason this area is hated. Those blow dart guys. You can't see it here because I'm using the spider shield, which blocks off all poison. But yes, they're blow darts, they inflict toxic. And toxic is a much deadlier version of poison. Poison will pretty gradually kill you, but toxic is really fast, and unless you have blooming purple moss clumps, so you can heal that status effect, you will probably die. Fortunately, those blow dart guys don't respawn, so you only have to kill them once and then they're gone forever, and you will never have to worry about them again. But of course, there's more than just one of them here. Another reason a lot of people hate this area, and this is probably the biggest reason, even though I can't entirely agree with it, a lot of people seem to encounter really severe frame rate issues here. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be only in specific spots, but some people say that they experience severe frame loss to the point of making the game unplayable. The frame loss I've experienced here is actually only the kind of frame loss you'd also experience in other areas. And the item down there I briefly showed you, and here it is again. I'm actually not gonna get it just yet. But there's something down there, and I want you to take note of that. We could jump down there, but this would be a really quick way to the next bonfire, and since I want to show you, well, both routes again, this time, much like in the depths, I'm going to go the long way first, and then I'll go back and show you the quick way, which of course means you will have to dare jump. And those wooden planks you just saw there, don't drop down. They'll break and you will fall down with them. It's not a fatal fall, but you will probably land in the midst of some enemies. And there is no reason to destroy that pot with the enemy inside, because if you do, that enemy will actually attack you. I wasn't too sure about the crossbow at first, but it seems to do a really nice job. Now, I talked a lot about why people hate this area, even though I personally like it. I don't really see much reason to really hate it here. But you can actually skip most of it if you really don't want to play through it. If you have the master key, that is. If you have it, you can just go down to Newland Ruins from Fiddled Shrine, and then there will be a shortcut you can take right to the part of Blighttown you actually have to go through to reach the boss. Oh, yeah, right. There's another reason people don't like this area. And I can't argue with that, because you just saw me do unnecessary stuff. Which I didn't edit out just to show exactly that. It's pretty easy to get lost. The area itself isn't that big, but it's more of a vertical area, which makes it more difficult to actually navigate. And this is the way to the bonfire already, even though I took kind of an alternate route. You'd have to go down this ladder, which I'm going to go up ordinarily, which is right next to that potted enemy. So if you go down that ladder, you will be at the bonfire. But now to go back to the branch, which may not appear to be a branch at first, which will lead us to that other route. You see that item there again, it's really tempting. It's pretty much the only indication they can actually do this, and the jump is kind of difficult to pull off because you have to jump at the last possible second. And even then, if you angle it wrong, you might fall down. For our troubles though, we get the Iaito, which is a katana weapon. And I kind of fucked up in the depths video where I was using the Uchigatana. When I said it has really wide swings, I was actually confusing it with the Iaito. The Uchigatana is more thrusting attacks and has one vertical attack, while the Iaito has a really wide swing as its heavy attack. And if you see an enemy climbing up a ladder, it's best to wait, because extreme ladder combat kind of looks like this. It's very exciting. You can press your attack buttons to attack, but I think only the heavy attack button kicks downward. And you're likely to fall down, because there's no real way to do it, you know, right? If you see an item like this, you might think it's gonna be really worth it. In the end though, you might die. Oh yeah, don't try to dodge roll. Just my personal pro tip. Anyway, back to extreme ladder combat. You can kick, but it's not gonna do you much good, because the enemy will always attack faster than you, and you will fall down, and then you'll have to fight them, and you will get eaten. Luckily, we didn't die because of that. But now we're pretty beat up. I mean, I'm gonna show you what you can find down here. If you see it and think it's not really worth the trouble, you don't have to go down here. So, let's try again with this thing. Careful, careful. I kinda fucked up earlier there. I didn't really do it right. But now I did it right. And blooming purple moss clumps, if you forgot buying them from the, crazy moss lady in the aqueduct, you will be happy to find it here, because it's the one thing that cures toxin. And those bridges, they're giant extended middle fingers left behind by the dear developers of this game. Another reason people hate this area, by the way. And still, you hear me talk about it like it's a bad thing, this area, at all, but I kinda like it still, even though it has some flaws, I will have to admit. Oh, fire dogs, great. Normally they will be up above us on the bridge, but they drop down, it seems. They can also breathe fire. And this moving bridges, by the way, as long as you stand still and don't panic, you will actually have no trouble getting across. Another hard to reach item. Just one humanity though. In my book this isn't really worth it, but if you're short on humanity you might really like that there is humanity here. To my knowledge, that's all we can get down here though, so we should probably return and finally light that bonfire. Oh, by the way, if you get lost in Blighttown, just follow the lights. All of the ladders are marked with torches. And pretty much, not all of the torches you can see in the distance there are actually ladders, but most of them are, and the ones that aren't, they actually lead you somewhere you have to go. Up ahead on that little bridge are those fire dogs I mentioned earlier, or rather that's where they are supposed to be. It's best not to pull them because there's also that guy waiting and they always forget about him. Another thing to be aware of is that there is another toxic blow dart guy who can snipe you actually while you're on this bridge. But with the spider shield up, the darts can't really do anything to us. Those darts would go through any other shield though. So if you want to go to Blighttown and you are really afraid of being inflicted with toxin, you will want to use the spider shield. That or bring tons of blooming purple moss. But yeah, the shield's actually on the way down here, so the shield is definitely the best option. The weapon of the day, by the way, is the halberd. It's +7, I think, and if you go down here to Blighttown, I would recommend bringing a weapon that is upgraded to something above +5, or at least +5, because it'll make everything so much easier. And oh god, almost got inflicted with toxin here, because I didn't properly block the toxic blow darts. But yes, the halberd. It has mostly thrusts as its attack, which makes it really nice for narrow places, and it's also a fairly strong weapon, much stronger than spears. In turn though, you can't block and attack at the same time. The heavy attack, which I pretty much never use by the way, is a horizontal attack. I know that sweet thing down there. We can shoot it, we don't see that we do damage to it if we just stay locked onto it, because its health bar is, well, way higher than you'd expect it to be, but it's there. I could cheese it that way, but instead I'm gonna cheese it another way. If you get close to it, it just hits you and might knock you down or even kill you. Anyway, the fall will kill you if it knocks you down. And there was a rather easy to kill toxic blow dart guy. I think we've encountered 3 so far, 2 of which we could kill. But don't worry, we will be able to kill the other one as well. The eagle shield we picked up just a second ago is the lightest great shield in the game. The eagle shield used to have 100% physical block, making it really exceedingly good. Now it has, I think, 95. It's still a good shield. If you find your guard broken rather often by a lot of attacks, you might want to switch to the eagle shield. Some of the damage will go through, but your guard won't be broken as easily anymore. And if you upgrade it, it has really high stability, and you won't lose a lot of stamina when you use it. One downside to great shields is, though, that they don't allow you to parry, instead you do a shield bash. And look who we have here. That's the guy who terrorized us while we were on the bridge. If you're not coming up here to do what I'm about to do, you'll at least want to come here to kill that guy who inconvenienced us earlier. Because he deserves it. The only reason to come up here is pretty much, aside from killing that annoying bloated guy, to kill another thing, that thing that we saw earlier, the thing I shot bolts at. Well, shooting bolts is one easy way to kill it, but it'll require, well, see, bolts or arrows, some kind of ammunition. You can also use magic. From here though, we can just hit it. There is no indication that we actually damage it, at least we don't hear anything. But if we hit it enough, it'll die. And it'll be much faster than bolts or arrows or magic. As a reward for this, we get a pyromancy I'm rather fond of myself. The Power Within. The Power Within has, well, the unique effect of draining our health over time. Of course, in return we get something rather nice. Our attack power gets boosted through the roof. I'm exaggerating here, but it's a pretty good boost. And if you know what you're doing, it's definitely a pyromancy you might want to check out. Personally, well, Steven pretty much is a build I made to use the Power Within until I got to New Game Plus and decided to switch it up a bit. Now we're almost finished with the part of Blighttown everyone hates. Not that people don't also hate the other part, but this is the most hated part and we're now almost done with it. You might have seen that item down there. Don't worry, I'll get it. In fact, I'm gonna jump down there in a second and we will come out by that torch you see down there. We would also reach that if you just climbed down there, so I'm not gonna climb down there. Instead, I'm just gonna do the jump right now and get an item. It has to be totally worth it. A whip? Well, the whip is a rather unique weapon, and it's, well, how should I put this? I'll show you. Next video, I'll Simon Belmont this shit up. Or at least, that's one way to make it sound good. When it comes to lore, I don't really know an awful lot about Blighttown. What I do know though is that it apparently once was a really nice place, but then it turned bad. Someone brought poison pyromancies, and apparently that turned the water into a deadly swamp. So it went downhill from there, and we see the end result right here. Not a very pleasant place, I have to say. So after it all went down the shitter, some people actually tried to salvage it. Some people from New Londo came and, well, tried to cure the place, if you will. Or rather, there is evidence of one person coming, but we won't be finding the evidence of that until we actually leave the place again, because it's on the way out. The lore of this area is a part of why I like it. I think it's fairly interesting, although we really don't know much about it. And there isn't much to learn about it in the game either. But yeah, I told you why people hate this area, and now I'll tell you why I like it. I think it's a nice change of pace. Opposed to the previous areas, this is more, well, vertical. It forces you to explore the whole area in a different way. It also encourages exploration a little more than previous areas. I mean, there's all these places you can see, and all these possible ways to get there. And in most cases, the exploration is rewarded. I mean, it's some humanity sometimes, and blooming purple moss, rather generic things, but still useful things, it seems in the area. And then stuff like the Yato, which is a really nice find. And hey, we're almost at the bonfire already. Well, let's first fight those flame bugs. They are easy to fight. You might be scared because they can breathe fire, and that does hurt a lot. But you can easily interrupt every move they make. Every hit you make actually staggers them. And yes, you actually have to go through the swamp, through the area that damages you, or at least poisons you if you stay in it too long. You can equip armor that has high poison resistance, like the Hollow Thief set I'm using. The regular Thief set has a little more poison resistance, I think. And the Shadow set we found this time in Blighttown actually has fairly good poison resistance as well. But before we go on, there's something I really want to show you. I wonder when it will actually happen. Oh yes, there. Another NPC Phantom Invasion. And I will want to show you all of them. So far I have showed you all. This time we're gonna fight Man-Eater Mildred. Man-Eater Mildred is, well, a naked woman wielding a giant butcher's cleaver and a wooden plank as a shield. Naturally, you can just pretty easily attack her because she's not wearing any armor. She gets staggered with pretty much every attack. So she's not much of a challenge. As long as you don't let her hit you, you're fine. And you get her butcher's knife for it. We may or may not check that out at some point in the future. And now, since we're about to traverse deadly liquid, I think it's best if you just use the rusted iron ring, because we'll have to walk through the swamp a fair bit. We're not going to actually explore the entire swamp this time. There will be a reason for us to come back later though. For now, we will head straight for the boss. And to do that, we pretty much, as I already said, have to walk through the swamp, and it's important to bring a purple moss to cure the poison. Because otherwise you'll have to deal with constant health loss. And those guys over there carrying the rocks, not gonna fight them now. Since I am about to fight the boss, I don't think engaging enemies I can avoid is the smartest move. But don't worry, at some point later, because I already said we have a reason to come back here, we will actually fight them. They're not that special anyway. They're pretty much the same guys, the fatties with the clubs we have fought so far. And those guys, completely harmless, if you just walk past them. If you attack them though, they will open up to you and release some bugs that will actually hurt you. And oh, look at that, Man-Eater Mildred can be summoned for this boss fight. I'm sure she'll be useful to us. Actually, if you have trouble with the fight, summoning Mildred is a really good strategy. Obviously, duh. Say hello to Quelaag. Half spider, half woman, all fun. And also pretty much deadly. A lot of the time, when the fight starts, she will try to pounce you and then immediately vomit fire on you. If that happens, if you see that she's pouncing, it's best to dodge her to the side. That way it's pretty likely that you don't get hit at all. Dodging backwards would have the bad effect of you actually getting caught in the flame liquid. Generally speaking, her basic attacks are really easy to dodge. But she does have some tricks up her sleeve, and you do have to watch out for the lava. Because if you get caught in it, it'll hurt, and it might kill you. But that's not all she can do. She has some other things she can do as well, some other things you definitely don't want to happen to you. You could also shoot the human part of her and stagger her, but it's not really possible to lock onto her. Oh crap, you don't want to get caught up in the lava, because if that happens, it's bad and you die, probably. Oh well then, let's just try again, this time without Mildred. Mildred actually does a pretty good job, but I don't really need her. I can manage alone, because Mildred, if we would summon her, it would actually increase the total HP of Quelaag. Of course, Mildred would also deal damage and make up for that, but I don't think I need it. I think me fighting Quelaag alone is actually more interesting. You don't want to be in front of her if she does this, because I think at our vitality level right now, it would be a one-shot kill. At any rate, it does a lot of damage and you don't want to get hit by it. Quelaag is actually weak to magic, so it's best to use magic if you have it. Speaking of magic, let's just enchant our weapon to do some more damage. This fighter is one of the reasons I keep saying that it's important to upgrade weapons. Because if you fight Quelaag with an unupgraded weapon, you'll just slowly chip away her health. But if you upgrade, you will notice a huge difference and the fight will be over a lot quicker. And it won't be tedious at all, instead it will be fun. It's one of my favorite fights from the early game. It's fairly, I wouldn't say it's hard, but I'm used to it by now. But it still feels kind of intense, even though I know exactly what to do. And even though I exactly know what to do, you still saw that I died. Lore-wise, she's a pretty interesting character. A rather tragic figure, I would say. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. I think it's best if we save the details of that for a little bit later and concentrate on the fight for now. You see, when she does those swings, they're really easy to dodge. You can just roll sideways with the right timing, you won't get hit at all. And when she does this stab into the ground, it's best to either just circle around her or walk away from her. Oh, hey, this attack can, by the way, and a run that otherwise went really well. Alright, let's be persistent here and actually watch out so you don't get hit by that attack again. Oh well. That's that, I guess. Okay, now let's try yet another time. And this time, not die. That seems like the sensible thing to do, I would say. After all, the fight isn't too difficult. Whenever she does this AoE attack, you will have to get far away. If you see her charging it up, just run. Because even if you block, at least in my case with a puny tiny little spider shield, it went right through it and killed me outright. But now she's almost dead here, and that's pretty nice, I guess. And she doesn't even do this AoE attack anymore. So dead she is. Alright. Alright, for defeating her, we got her soul. So while we wait for the lava to clear, let's have a quick look at the weapons we can make from that soul. Here's Quelaag's Fury Sword. It's a curved sword. And, well, let's just read the description real quickly. A curved sword born from the soul of Quelaag, daughter of the Witch of Izalith, who was transformed into a chaos demon. Like Quelaag's body, the sword features shells, spikes, and a coating of chaos fire. Oh, speaking of chaos fire, there it already is. The weapon does fire damage, and a little bit of physical damage. It also scales with dexterity. But there's another special something to it. I redacted this from the description, which also reads, power affected by wielder's humanity. Yep, the more humanity we have, the stronger the weapon will be. Just look at this, it's already a lot stronger. It's a pretty good weapon for PvE, I'd have to say, but I don't like it much because it's a curved sword. A weapon I do appreciate, however, is that one, the Chaos Blade. This blade inherits only the chaotic nature of Quelaag, and has a unique speckled design. Blade wielder erodes along with opponents. And that was the description, in case you couldn't tell. And it already told us what effect the weapon has. It, well, whenever we attack an enemy and hit, we take a little damage as well. However, critical hits like backstabs and parries, they don't hurt us. It has, I think, the same moveset as the Iaito, and like all other katanas as well, inflicts bleeding on opponents. So overall, it's a pretty good weapon, if you can live with the damaging effect. Both of these weapons were shown on New Game Pluses and fully upgraded. And yeah, that guy was Steven, by the way. Alright, let's go on then. Among those two weapons, Quelaag's Fury Sword is the more popular one because it doesn't damage the wielder, but it's mostly useful for PvE. And oh hey, look what's this here. I guess this is the second Bell of Awakening, which is the reason we're here. So let's go on ahead and just ring it. We now rang both Bells of Awakening, and something happened. Brilliant, right? But yes, now let's just go on and have a look what's down there. So maybe we can find a bonfire or something, so we can have a rest, because we went quite a far ways and fought a boss. So I think we deserve a little break here. Oh well, there is a new area, the Demon Ruins. And there's a bonfire here as well. But I don't think this is the bonfire I will want to rest at now. So let's just go on, walk back up this little cave here. And maybe we can find something else. So let's see, there's a message here. What does it tell us? Attacking. Oh yeah, let's attack this wall. Oh hey, an illusory wall. And there's another one of those guys, blocking the path.
Oh dear, what have we here? Are you a new servant? But you have no eggs. Ah, no matter. Go along and have audience with our fair lady. I pray that you will mind your manners.
always say yes, otherwise you will have to kill him to get through. And you don't really want to kill him, but oh, look at this thing there. It seems like another Quelaag, only not so healthy. But yes, this is the bonfire. We will want to rest at, so goodbye. I hope to see you next time.